Hello coders, let's try this again, shall we? Do apologize, I had to restart the machine, but we're back in the room. So, Code Quiz API, Code Quiz API client, that is what we're going to be working on today. We're going to tackle a proof of concept that I have in the back of my mind and I want to kind of create that will make hopefully our lives a lot easier when actually making the data fixtures for this. So, as I was saying before the stream died, we have an API, we've got an API client, we've got a website, and eventually we'll have a mobile app for this API, for this code quiz repo. I'll just get to the code, which is here. So this is what we've got. So you can see the API client, got API, we've got app, we've got proxy, we've got the website. And at the minute, the way it works by putting in the code quizzes, which is what I do on Twitter and on Instagram every working day, is we go into the API, we go into SRC, we go into data fixtures, and we create ourselves some fixture files that get looped through here in the load routine, wherever the load routine is. Here. So runs create quizzes, it grabs the data sets, loops over those, creates questions, and then that will also create the quiz and then create the questions. There we go. So get data sets this is me refreshing my mind and my memory and whilst going through this. Here we go. We loop over the data sets. We get the file paths. There we go. So we would have to hard code in all the quizzes. So it's in config, fixtures, quizzes, and then the quiz, and then quiz.php, right? So it's terribly hard coded, not great at all for scalability. So if we come out of all of this and we go into our config, if we go into our fixtures, quizzes, what we have is these. So these are the fixtures. And if we click on, say, the CSS quiz, for instance, we have the quiz.php, and that has a hard-coded set of questions, and we generate this array. And if I was to tackle one of these questions, for instance, we have an array, again, of the questions that go into that particular quiz. And then that array just gets created, and then we loop over that, and we put those into the database. So far, it's really tedious to have put any data into this. Also, we have to deal with this from the API client's point of view as well, from a testing perspective. So we actually need to get the data, some data, dummy data at least, to actually test the API client. So yeah, this is not good. And I've been trying to think of better ways to do this. And one way I've got a proof of concept at the Mo, which I'm working through, is to do this through Markdown files. So what we would have is, can I bring that out? I can't, can I? No. So these are Markdown files. And we would use a clever kind of way of parsing the Markdown file, pulling out the question, pulling out the possible answers, and pulling out the answer, and then saving that to the database. So there's quite a few bits and pieces to this. This PR, it's in draft mode. I'm not gonna work on this one. I'm gonna build another one, and I'm gonna take chunks out of this because at the minute this is running off of the app fixtures file, which I don't want to do. I actually want this as a Symfony command. But there's a few things. I was working on this very early this morning before I took the dogs out, and there's a few things that I need to address and work through first, such as getting the markdown directories, getting the markdown files, and then parsing those and pulling those bits and pieces out. And I was doing it very slapdash. I was just literally throwing things together, trying to get the parts of the answer. So the idea is that we loop over all the quizzes, and we generate the quiz, the name, the ID, and the items, and then we loop over the items, and we pull out the possible answers, the actual answer, and the question. And I was just dumping things to the page just to see, if I could actually do it, and coming up with some form of pattern, like on here, for instance. So here we've got, this isn't a good example. We need to be in, is that, where's the one that has, there is it that one, or is it in, there's one of them, is it, it's not, that's the old stuff. So I renamed that old. Bear with me a second whilst I work through this. Is it that one? No, it's not that one. You can tell it's a bit messy. Here we go. Yes, so we have, so I was using H1s to work out, that is like, this is the question. And then everything including this as well as that, all the way down to this H2 is the question, right? And then this is the possible answers. So that would generate a UL and an LI for each one of these. So UL and then LI, and then close UL. And then this would be the ID answer. That's what I would be looking for to actually get the answer. So I was running it through a routine that will pull these things out using the Symphony Finder. Sorry, not the Symphony Finder. The is it the Symphony Finder? Whatever it is, the thing that has DOM document extends that. But yes, I mean, this is a mess. So what we're going to do is create a new branch, and then just sort of try and pull the best bits out of this and work on it. And also, I've gone and thrown in all sorts of stuff that I don't actually need. So, for example, we got the Symfony CSS selector, the DOM crawler. Don't think we need those. We will need to have this parse down for parsing the Markdown. So yeah, we're going to be jumping backwards and forwards between this pull request and our clean pull request. Some could argue, why don't I just use this pull request? But I would rather have this as a backup to work from. So without further ado, let's go and actually start building some stuff. Now, if I remember rightly, sorry, I have to go back to this. Is this, yeah, 157 is the pull request, 157. So we're going to do git checkout -b, and we're going to do 157, and we're going to not name it the same as that one. So that's POC Markdown. So we're going to do, we'll do Markdown parser, right? Okay, cool. So what I'm thinking of doing is having in SRC, I'm thinking of having like a folder in here that will have a service that we use that will get the quizzes and do it that way, and then have a Symfony command that then gets that service, injects that service, and then we can use that service and we can test that service as well. So I suppose we should start by actually creating some tests, right? So we'll do SRC. We will create a test in here called let's do Markdown, and then in here we'll have a test file. I'm just going to copy that, and we will call this Markdown. See, this is where naming things are difficult. So this could be Markdown getter. Let's call it fetcher. Markdown fetcher test. Right. So here we go. We will get rid of all of this stuff. We don't need any of this. So that's Markdown. Apologies for the noise of the doggies. We'll call that Markdown. That's the namespace. Right. So obviously nothing actually exists yet. So we're gonna just gonna try stuff out. So the first thing I want to do is run a test that will get the files. So let's do test fetch. So we need to have a URL or some path. So we'll do path is equal to, and And if we were to jump back to here, there is, I'm pretty sure, there is a check that I put in. There, here we go. That's what I wanted. Yes. Now, it's obviously not this, but it'll certainly have configure fixtures and quizzes. Let's get rid of that for a minute. And then what we want to do is we want to have an array of files, so, or directories. So that maybe we should do, so fetch quizzes. Right. So then we have quizzes. So the idea is that this is going to become an array, and we want to. So obviously this will change. This will be a directory of quizzes, and if we have a look into here, there is a way of what I was playing with this morning as to how to actually get the quiz, and I think it is not that one. There we go. This one. Yes. So that should return an array of directories, I believe. So, yes. Right, so that is what we'll put into our actual thing. So that will hopefully return array of directories. Because the idea is that the directory is going to be the quiz name, and it will be, it should have something like 1. Let's do CSS or CSS quiz. That's the name of the directory. And it will have, therefore, the ID of 1 and the title of CSS quiz. That's the idea, right? So we could have one, we could have, then we could have another one. So bear with me whilst I try and get this out of my head. So that would be 2, that would be like HTML. And so what we're looking for, let's get rid of that. And we'll put in a third one just to sort this out. So whether we then have JavaScript, which is spelled like that. Sure. Let's just tidy this up. So we want to return an array of directories. So in here, so in there, quizzes, there is going to be, if I can find that, there we go. So in there is going to be there is going to be these directories, right? So there's going to be a directory called this. There's going to be a directory called this, and obviously there's going to be a directory called this. So what I would like to have is an array that gets returned that is quizzes, is therefore, I can't keep spelling that wrong, is therefore an array where we have well, let's simplify it. So it is this. Yeah, so that's essentially what I want. At this present second, that's what I want. We then need another routine to loop over this to actually generate the bits and pieces. So that's step one. Step one is to get the array of stuff. And I believe this is how you do it. Okay. So, and then once that's done, we need to have another test, which I will just throw in here as a quick example, where we want to loop over our array of quizzes. So let's just get rid of all this for a second. And then this is, so this is, what would you call this? So this one fetches quizzes, and then this one, I guess you would have, generate quiz data sets, right? So that would be let's do it individually. So generate quiz data set, right? So the data set would be this, would be something like data is equal to, and then you've got an array, so that would be data set is equal to an array, where we have an array, so it's an array of arrays. This is going to be fun. And then in that array we have our ID, and this should be therefore 1, and then we have our title, and that should therefore be CSS quiz. We also would like to have a CSS quiz without the things, so there's going to have to be a little bit of string manipulation there. I also would like to have the actual path to the thing, so we'll do path, whoops, is equal to whatever this is, so it'll be that. And then it will be one CSS quiz. Oops. Yeah. So it'll be like that. And then, of course, you'll have 2 and 3 and so on and so on. So let's just finish that off with a... sorry, let's just finish that off with an array. So let's just tab these out a bit. So that's, oops, that's how I think I want this to work. Now, the reason I want this to should be generated like this, and I suppose what we could do is just for ease of use is, or just to remind ourselves of the actual structure, that would be 2, that would be HTML, and that would be HTML, and that would be 2, right? So 2 HTML. Right. Okay, so that's that. That would be our generate quiz data set. Now, obviously, there's going to need to be a routine to get the ID as well as to get another routine to get the title from here. So they'll have to be individual tests as well to work that through. Obviously, this is the first step, is to generate the quizzes. Let's sort that out. That should be a double Z. There we go. I believe that's the way to do it. Yep. Sorry, I'm trying to just work this through in my head. Right, once we have that, let's just jump forward a bit. Once we've got this, we then obviously need to get the items, the questions that come through the Markdown. So let's say we've already we've gone configure fixtures quizzes, and we've looped over these two. So we've got these two quizzes. We've pulled out the ID and we've pulled out the title. Now we need to actually get into the files and pull out the bits and pieces of the files. So obviously this would be another test file to test these. But what I'm thinking is, in terms of these IDs, it's going to be a bit tricky to make sure these IDs are unique. One way I was planning to do it this morning, I had this crazy idea this morning of perhaps having like 1 CSS quiz, 2 HTML quiz, and then 3 JavaScript quiz. And then in the folders, we would have 1 underscore the title, 1 underscore 2 underscore the title, 1 underscore 3 underscore the title, And then on HTML quiz, we would have 2_1_ title and 2_2_ title. That way we're saying that it's always going to start with the ID of the quiz, and then we have a unique identifier for the actual files. That way, when we have our Symfony command, we can look for that unique identifier, because this is going to be 2_HTML quiz. This is going to be 2_1_ aside tag. That 2_1 is going to be unique to all of this, because there's only ever going to be 2_1 or 2_2, and likewise there's only going to be 1_1 and 1_2. That way, when someone updates the files, let's say that they've, I mean, obviously this one is a complete wreck. It's just a test case. I was just testing that I can pull out code examples there. But let's say like these, for instance, they're actual questions. Let's say someone spots a typo in there, or maybe the answer is wrong or something, and they need to do a PR. Well, they can do a pull request and ensure that the file name is actually unique. Not only is it unique to the quiz, but it's also unique to the quizzes. And then during the Symfony console command, it can look for that. It can go, do we have that unique code? I suppose you can call it unique code. And if we do, we then need to perform an update. And if we don't, we need to perform an insert. And because we know that the file name has started with, say, 2, we know that it's part of the HTML quiz. And then the next underscore would be the ID of the actual file, or the ID of the actual question. That's kind of where my head is. But hey, Segfeld. Yeah, it is a bit of a brain teaser. So I came up with this before the first coffee this morning. And I was quite hungover. So, that's... well, I wasn't quite hungover. I had a whiskey last night. So I always end up with a bit of a head. But maybe that's what I need to just keep doing. Yeah, Sober October has completely and utterly failed this year. Anywho, I guess we should start working through this. So we've got I guess we should look at this one first and then look at these. Maybe I should... Yeah. I won't go any further than these two yet until we actually have some code to cut. So this one here is fetch quizzes, right? So we're going to fetch the quizzes. We don't have any quizzes yet. Let's go and create some. Right. Let's put this into... It's in config, it's in fixtures. We're going to rename this to quizzes old, because this is our old way of doing stuff, or quizzes old. And we're going to create a new one in here called quizzes. Now, the overarching plan for this is to actually have the quizzes as markdown files outside of the API folder and inside the docs folder as a quizzes folder, and then have a command that will symlink this into the API. But that's beyond the scope of today. Anyway, what was I doing? Not that. I was in config, wasn't I? Config fixtures quizzes. Right, we need some quizzes. So we're going to create a markdown file. We'll do CSS. Well, no, it's 1_CSS quiz. There we go. And then we're going to create our markdown file, which I believe we'll follow this. So we got padding properties, and I think I can probably just copy and paste all that, although that's the wrong one. When I was playing with this, I was also trying to work out where to put it. So we've got this on the root, and we've got this on here. It's actually this one that I need. So it's padding properties. So this would be technically 1_1, and then this would be padding _ properties. Now the actual name the title doesn't actually matter really. It's the first bit that really matters. Where did that go? Yes, I want to add that. Right, so we'll just copy this and we'll just bung it in here for now. I was playing around with the idea of having front matter, which you can see in this one, for instance, and having some sort of way of putting IDs and stuff in here. But I thought it would be easier to actually have it on the file names rather than actually go in and actually look into the file. Yeah, just thinking of like past experiences when you're having to go through the contents, that, you know, if I can do things to work out what question it is in relation to what quiz it is, without actually going into the file and getting the contents, then so be it. I will also copy the second one as well, so that will be 1 underscore. I can see that I'm gonna have to document this. 2 underscore, and then I can't remember what that was. It was style override. Style override .md. Yes, please. And then I'll just copy that. Now I'll obviously need to change all of this, so that will be so the question here is that. Right, in CSS, which rule overrides the previous style? So it's important. So there we go. That's why I've put this in details, because you can have a sort of a, you know, whatever they call that. I suppose it says detail. Right. I suppose, yeah, let's do the third one. So this would be 1 underscore 3. And the third one will be, I mean, for just today, I don't need to have all of them. I just need to have enough. Or what's it called? It's called 3 text font. I just need to have just enough. So text underscore font. Is that, did I not put, yeah, I did, cool. We'll copy all this, we'll paste that into here, and that is the thingy, so that's, oops. That is the question. Oh, I've just forgotten. I also need to put in this bit here where it says possible answers, because this is what I'm going to be using in the parser to pull out. So that would be possible answers, and also this would be possible answers as well. It allows me to have like examples and other things in here, which I think is pretty cool. And because I'm not overly concerned that doesn't have to be in UL or LI, that could just be, you know, that could be examples, code maybe, I don't know. Okay, so that's the thing. I should probably sort out the second one as well, just so we've got 2 to play with. So we've got 2 underscore, what was that? HTML quiz. Just so I've got stuff to play with. So we've got the aside tag. So that is going to now be 2 underscore 1 underscore aside tag .md, and that will be, just copy that, paste that into there, and then we'll go to here and we'll copy out, well, it's just a H1, isn't it? So that is U, and then this would be possible answers. There we go. I think I'm gonna leave it there, because I could just end this. I could just do the stream just doing this without actually building the mechanics. So, you know, that's as far as I'll go. Yeah, my first mistake. Into a Django app, saving it in a DB and parsing it out correctly. Surprisingly irritating. Yes. So I had this wild idea to do all of this last week, early last week, and so I've been trying to do this in the evenings after work, wrapping my head around it, and I was up very early this morning trying to work out how to deal with the IDs, because that was a sticking point, because we need to have a convention going forward, really. So this is why I'm calling it a proof of concept, because I don't really know if this is the thing. The plan for this is to try and simplify the process. So if it's overcomplicating the process, then it's just not worth doing. That's why I'm calling it a proof of concept. Right. So let's now actually get back to the tests. That'll be fun. Right. So we need to have some form of fetcher that does this thing. So what I'm thinking of is we would have a Markdown fetcher would be a new Markdown. Obviously, this doesn't exist. Fetcher. And we would say something like Markdown fetcher get quizzes. I don't know if we should call it Markdown fetcher. I don't know. It could be just quiz fetcher. It depends. Yeah, let's call it quiz fetcher. There could be other parts of Markdown that we need to get. So let's call it quiz fetcher. This is why I like doing things like in a testing first, because you start to get an idea as to how you call these things. So we'll rename this as quiz fetcher. This is, refactoring as you go, or at this stage, refactoring with no code written yet. So quiz fetcher is equal to new quiz fetcher. Quiz fetcher get quizzes. Okay, so that's going to return a quizzes, as we've defined up here. And then what we want to do is we want to have let's just put this up above so I can see what I'm doing. The test now should return self. It should assert the array, and the array must have we would need to mock this, I guess. So there's no point in checking if it is array, because it will always be an array, right? So what we need to do is I'm looking for contains. That's not the way you do it, is it? Yeah, contains equal contains only assert contains. That's what I'm after. Yes, that's what I'm after. So you would pass in your needle. So the needle would be this one here. And then the haystack would be the quizzes that we've got. So we'll just do that one for now. We need some way of mocking this. So this quiz fetcher doesn't actually exist yet. And now I need to think of a way of actually injecting something in here, like something to then fetch. The reason why I want to inject it is because then I can mock it. So I guess what we can do is we'll start building this. Now we've got that bit sort of done. So it is Markdown. And then in Markdown, we have a file called quiz fetcher. Right. And right, so this is this has the namespace of is it app? I can't remember how the Symfony does it. I've been working too much in Drupal. what is the names? It is app. Yes, I thought so. So app, and then it is quiz. No, it's Markdown, isn't it? Good. No. Where am I? Quiz fetcher. Markdown. Okay. And then we've got, it's a class, which is quiz fetcher. And we're going to have a private array of quizzes. And what are we calling? With get quizzes is the thing. I think we need to change that to just be fetch, I think. So we'll do a public function fetch. And that is going to generate that. Now, this probably needs to be void, and we probably need to have a public function get. I'm going to call this get data. I'm going to keep it nice and generic for now, and this is going to return this quizzes. Right. Okay, cool. So in our fetch routine, let's just assign that to be an array. In our fetch routine, we need something to fetch that and populate the quizzes, right? So we would return fetch and then get data. Fetch. Yeah. Fetch implies that you're returning something. Maybe we should call this generate. Maybe we should call this quiz generator. Naming is difficult. Let's just try and get this to work. So we need to have some way of actually pulling this out from here. And I think what I'm going to do is have a routine, something that I can pass in like an adapter to do that. So I know I'm jumping about like a banshee here, but let's just I've got things in my head that I need to get out, and they're not all coming in the right order. So bear with me a minute. Right, this is generate. Okay, right, so that's generate, and then what we do after that is then we do quizzes, get data. No, quiz fetcher, get data, that's what we do. Yes, right. And that would be our quizzes. Okay, right. So that's that in a nutshell, but we need to actually inject something in here to tell this where these things are, which means that I can mock this out. So let's go and create that, and again we're going to have to test it too. So I'm just gonna I'll throw things on the page first, and then we'll attack the tests, because I want to get this right out in my head. We need a Markdown. I've gone full circle, haven't I? This is actually the generator. I've gone totally full circle. This is the generator. This is going to be generating. I've been working on this stuff. This is the generator. Jesus. Yeah, this is how my brain works. It's 5 steps ahead from where my fingers are on the keyboard. Generator. Yeah. So that's the new generator. We call generator and we get the data. Fine. Good. Right. So generate is actually doing this stuff. But anyway, we need a fetcher. That's what we need. So we're going to have a quiz fetcher, and this is the thing that we're going to mock. Right. So again, I'm literally going to just throw this on the screen. So bear with me whilst I just try and get this out of my brain. So we have a routine called fetch, and we have a routine, a public function called getData. I know it's quite similar, but bear with me a minute. That's going to return this quizzes. Got it. As an array. This here is the thing that's going to fetch the files. This is then going to generate the quiz data, the data sets. So it's this that we need to mock, and because we have the getData routine, what we can do in the test is we can say we can pass the fetcher into the generator. So let's change this to be generator. Quiz generator. We can do fetcher is equal to this mock, configure mock, create mock. There we go. And we want to mock out the quiz fetcher class, and we want to return. So fetcher method. We want to make sure that this method is called once. So self self once. Oh, this needs to be, sorry, this needs to be expect. No, I've done it wrong. This needs to be fetcher expects self once method, and the method that we are going to mock is getData. GetData. And it's going to will return an array where we have this, like that. So this test is going to ensure that our quiz generator is going to call getData from the quiz fetcher once. So when we call getData on the generator, we're getting it from the fetcher. So that was what was in my brain. So what we need to do is pass the fetcher into the generator like that. So up here we have a public function. Come on. Constructor, and in the constructor, which I can't spell. Oh no, it's void. We need to pass in the fetcher. So let's go about creating our fetcher interface. Fetcher interface. So the fetcher interface is going to have, so this is interface, fetcher interface will have a public routine called getData, which will return an array. That needs to be, sorry, that needs to be a public function. Cool. Quiz fetcher will implement fetcher interface. Oh, I need to put a namespace on that, of course, which is just this. My Murphy is barking at people. So where are we? So that implements fetcher interface, that requires that we have our get data routine. We also should put in that we have our fetch routine as well, which returns void. Oops. Okay, cool. Let's make sure that adheres to it. Yes, it does. Good stuff. So that's cool. This then takes the fetcher interface, which is sorry, this is then fetcher. Because we're using PHP 8, we can do property promotion. So we can do our lovely private fetcher interface. This is fetcher, and then here we can do. In fact, sorry, I did say we were using property promotion, and then I went ahead and not used it. So let's do it. Lol. There we go. What are you going to complain about? Cannot declare promoted property outside of a constructor. Is that because this is not spelled as constructor? Construct. Yeah, I'm missing a construct. You fool. There we go. There we go. Fetcher. And this is only written. Okay, so now in generate, we do this. Sorry, I know this is taking me a long time to get this out of my head, but we will get there. So this is then generate. Okay, so then this becomes our data set. Whoopsie. And in fact, what we could do is just this. This quizzes is equal to fetch. There we go. Right. So we're saying that incompatible expected property type of array null is provided on fetch. Why? That would go to the fetcher interface. Property can be read. I'm not bothered with that at the minute. Let's have a little look. Fetcher interface. Fetch returns void. Sorry. That needs to return an array as well. That's why. Right, so quizzes is now whatever is being fetched from the fetcher. And then we can return it like so. Meaning that in our test, we can mock that out. So we now have get data from our... Hang on a minute. What have I done? This is quiz fetcher. No. This needs to be fetch. Sorry. Get there in the end. So here we go. The fetcher expects the fetch routine to be called once, right? And we're going to return this, and we'll also return the second one as well. So 2 is equal to HTML quiz. There we go. Right, get there in the end, Pete. Come on, get there in the end. So we have our quiz generator. We inject the fetcher. That is our. Let's do fetcher mock just to be completely clear. So notice I haven't even dealt with the path yet. That's fine. I'm just making sure that this all hangs together. So we inject that into there. We then call generate. So generate off of the generator runs this routine, which then allows us to call, that needs to return an array like that. Then we can call get data on there. And we want to make sure that it contains that. Cool. Okay. Right. I might be able to run this test. Now, the generator, it really should be, I really should have a test on this, of course. Now, obviously, this doesn't do anything yet. So we will have to deal with that. That needs to return an array. So we will have to deal with that in a second. This would be this. Quizzes is equal to something or another. we would return it, wouldn't we? Would we return it? Yes, we would. So we would do this quiz is equal to that, and then we would do return this get data. There we go. So we got the generator. I don't like the fact we got two get data routines. I think we can probably do without this one, to be honest, and we can probably just do a return of that, which means that we can get rid of our this, and we can dive into there. We can get rid of that, and I think in the quiz generator we have this. That's great. That's great. What's that? It's just read only. That's fine. So yeah, this is a nice getting a little tighter now. So we got our fetch routine. That's going to be doing the random stuff to get the bits and pieces. That's fine. We're mocking it out, so it's going to return these two, but we're making sure that the quizzes that we return from the generator when we pull get data is actually going to be doing this, and that's the fetch routine that gets called. Yes. Good. Right. Woo. Right. I've kind of done this backwards because what I need to do is we need to have a test. This needs to be Markdown Generator test, really, because it's testing the generator and not the fetcher. So if we go back to our wherever it lives, in tests, in unit, in SRC, in entity, and in Markdown, let's change that to be Markdown Generator test, and I think that will also change the class name as well. Generator. Can't spell it. Generator. There we go. Yep. There we go. That's changed. Cool. Yes. I'm going to create another test as well. We're just going to copy that, and we're going to call this Markdown Fetcher test. And this is going to be the one that actually, tests that we can pull down that stuff. So we'll run this one first probably, and then we'll run the second one. So another example of where my brain was many steps ahead of where I was on the screen. So this one doesn't need a mock at all. This one is a case of we're going to get to the fetcher like this. So it'll be a fetcher routine. So quiz fetcher. We don't need anything in here, and we're just going to return anything that's in fetcher fetch, right? And we're going to ensure that this is data, and we're going to ensure that this that gets returned matches that. So it's yeah. I will explain myself in a minute as to why I've just doubled this up. So this needs to run in fetcher. This needs to run that. This base DRI is this, which is that. I think. Well, that'll obviously need to be adjusted, and the test will tell us. Tests will tell us that. So that will return this routine, or it will return the glob of the base DRI. That obviously needs to be adjusted because this is in a different folder, but that's dealing with the value, not the mechanism. Let's deal with the mechanism. Why is that red? What's that complaining about? Do I need to put that on the end? No, it's because it's missing that. Is that right? What's going on here? Expected a semicolon. There's that. and that. That's fine, in my opinion. Don't understand what's wrong there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I see what's wrong. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Right. So the generator is going to generate not this, is it? It's going to fetch and it's going to return these two, but the generator of get data is actually going to be returning this. It's going to actually return the quizzes in not in this form, right? Because that is what this is doing. So let's get rid of that for a sec and get rid of this for a sec. It's actually going to be returning this. Right. So in fact, we need to have data sets, right, which comes here. And we need to say that data sets has is an array of arrays. So we would get, so if we were to do, let's do CSS quiz is equal to data sets 0. So it would be the first one. We want to ensure that this actually has that we want to make sure that that has an ID as a key. We also want to make sure that this has a title as well. So that's a title in there, and we want to make sure that this also has a path. So that's that. There we go. Things are now out of my head. Wow. Okay, so we haven't run any of these tests yet. I have no idea if any of this is going to work. Probably it won't. But that's fine. That's what TDD is all about. So we got the fetcher. We'll run this first. This runs the quiz fetcher. It gets the data, and we're expecting to have that in our data set. Now this is a real world test. There's no mocking going on here, so it's actually going to run this routine like that. But because we're unit testing, we're mocking out the fetcher at this point. Because we've already proven that is an array which has that as the needle. So I believe this just does like an in array type affair of what the data is. And then this test will go, okay, so this actually does need the fetcher, and we're going to mock that out, and this now returns this because we've proven that does that based on this test. But beyond this, the get data, which we haven't done yet, needs to generate an array of data sets that have on the first quiz, which is our CSS quiz, keys of ID, title, and path. We'll have another test to check those values as well. Sure. I'll probably put this as some sort of setup before test thing, sort of a before test thing, so that gets generated each time, and then we can pull out the relevant bits and pieces. But anyway, I managed to get all of that stuff out of my head. I hope I haven't confused everyone. What I have managed to do is make my tea go cold, which is typical. Yuck. So let's run him. Let's run him. So we want to do a docker ps-a. I've got no idea what the state of the containers are on this machine. That's the state of the containers. Okay, where are we? We're in the API client. We shouldn't even be in there. We should be in the, no, we should be in the root, right? Because we've got the Docker files here. So let's do Docker compose down. Let's bring them all down. We probably need to do an RMI as well, actually, to be honest, and we probably need to rebuild the whole thing. This is complaining about a network. Docker ps -a. Okay, we may have to do this. We're going to have to do this manually, aren't we? So they're exited. We could do a Docker container prune to bring those two containers down. Docker ps -a. We've got one container now. We've got Docker rm -f to forcibly remove the API db. I wish that was autocomplete, db1. And then we can do Docker image prune as well to just remove that, and we'll do -a too, just to get rid of all the dangling jobbies. Off you go. So Docker ps -a should be blank. Docker images as well should be empty. I don't know what I've got in my volumes, so let's just prune those out. Why not? Yep, cool. So let's do a Docker. Oh, what's in my network? Network as well, not network.ls. Code quiz. Let's get rid of that. Docker network rm -f. I think code quiz we can probably get away with. Code_quiz. I think I can do this by name. Yes, no. Okay. All right. Let's just do that. There we go. Right. Let's do now a Docker compose up -d. So this should bring up the containers. We'll have to pull them down. I am going to make a dive off to the loo, and I'm also going to get a warmer tea. So I will be back very, very shortly. And then once the containers are on, we'll then get into the container and run the test. So I will speak to you very soon. Okay, hello again. What we'll do, I'm going to just take a seat because I've been on my feet all day. Right. Good. Okay, so get to the code. Here we go. What was I doing before I went out? Oh yes, I built the containers. There we go. So if we did a Docker compose exec API bash. There we go. And then if we did a bin PHP unit, run that maybe. Okay. Have a look at the errors. So we've got failed to open StreamNote file directory in what's that? App fixtures test load. Okay, right. So what I've done is I've obviously renamed this to old. So I guess the old tests would need to be changed, unfortunately. Now this is going to be in app fixtures test. Let's just find it. I don't know where it is. App fixtures test. There we go. So that one there. And it is line 91 and 91, and we have we're looking for yes, quiz is old, and we're saying that we can't, even though we've changed that, we're saying that we can't get it. That's weird. Require on fail to open stream no file or directory config quizzes. That's still quizzes. So no. Right. Well, we need to skip this anyway, right? So we can do skip. I think that's what we can do. Is there a way of skipping the whole test class? I know on setup. I know we can do it per test, I think. Let me just double check. Oh, we need to do like marker skipped and stuff. I'm going to have to Google this. Bear with me a sec. There must be a way of skipping the whole. So PHP unit skip test class. Incomplete and test mark PHP unit test class to be ignored. I don't really want to dive into the XML stuff. If it's named food test, just rename it to food test case. I added case to the abstract class name, and I now get the error when executing the tests. Yeah, so the solution they've done is excluding it from that. I suppose I could do that. Yeah, all right. So PHP unit.dist, we can, yeah, okay. I was going to create my own PHP unit. I suppose I could do that, but where are we? This is coverage. Don't want coverage. We're on unit, so we want to exclude tests unit, and the test that we want to ignore is app fixtures test. I don't know why we were excluding the other one, but anywho. I think we're gonna, I think it's running the test suite of unit. So sorry, let me just where we had that, get rid of that, and the other one was that one. We'll get rid of that too. Okay, so Let's get back to the terminal. Let's run that and see what happens. So we've still got our 4 errors. So let's get to the first one. App, yeah, failed to open stream or directory. I don't think that is. I think that might be running. How do I switch test suites? I can't remember how to do test suites. Test suffix, list suites, test suite. There we go. So we do test suite, and we pass in unit. There we go. Unknown test suite. I thought I saw it, unless it's one word. Test list suites. Test suite. Oh, it's one word. Okay, fine. Hooray for consistency. Right. Okay. So we have one app. It's still running off of app fixtures test. That's weird. I thought I excluded it. Tests unit. Oh wait. It's not that, is it? It's tests unit src. Sorry. Yes. Right. So let's give that another go. It doesn't look like that's 2 failures. Yes, this is it. This is looking better, I think. No, we're still complaining about App Suite. Weird. Let me just make a bit of room. Run that again. Yeah, we're still complaining about App Suite. What am I doing wrong? Tests unit, we're excluding that. Test suite unit, and we're excluding that. How strange. I suppose I could just get rid of the file, because this would eventually supersede it, but let's not be too hasty here. The problem with this is that it's trying to get to fixtures quizzes, and that needs to be quizzes underscore. And the reason this is happening is because in app fixtures on line 91, it's screwing up. So let's see if we can fix it rather than exclude it. Let's see if we can get, make it happy. So we go to app fixtures and we go to line 91. I was on the wrong file before, so that's probably why it wasn't correct. So sorry. What am I looking for? This shortcut key. Here we go. Line 91. Yeah. So it's file path. This get file paths. So here we go. This needs to be quizzes underscore old, I believe. Underscore old. So that should now have fixed, yes, those tests. Now the error that we got now is based on our test, which is what we're interested. Okay, so we're saying that we've got a type error. Asset contains argument 2. Haystack must be type iterable. String is given. Called in. Okay, so that is something that I didn't even expect would be a problem, but okay. So we're saying that line 43, which is this one, CSS Markdown Generator test on line 43, the haystack must be type of iterable, which is that, but a string is given. So that would be because when we call generate, okay, so that's one. And then this is a failure. This is on the fetcher. So we should fix the fetcher first, and then that would hopefully fix the generator. All right. So this is. Let's look at the fetcher. So this is saying that we failing to assert that an array contains that. That would be the reason why it doesn't work. Okay. All right, so let's have a look at our fetch routine. We're doing this on base path, and we're going into config fixtures quizzes. So we are actually in here. We want to come out of here. We also want to come out of SRC. So we've come out once out of Markdown, once out of SRC, then once out of unit, and then once out of tests, and then we should be able to access config, and then fixtures, and then quizzes, I think. Let's give that a go. Nope, that's still a problem. Let's go and actually see what this is. That would be a good idea. Is there any kind of way I can see this through the IDE? Let's get rid of that. What does... can we get class name? No, it doesn't have any kind of... I've probably gone a couple of steps too far. So I'm going to just do a var dump in the test. So var dump baster, and just find out where on earth we are with that. I think I may have to run the debug thing on here to print that out. Can we do... prepend, no configuration, do not cache results, order by, debug, display debug information. That's what I want. Oh, okay, that was more than I thought we would get. Fair enough. Do we actually get, or am I thinking of coception? Because I know that there is a... that's weird that it's not dumping that out. I don't think this is going to work either, but let's just... there we go. So we are in SRC at the minute. So that doesn't work, does it? I've gone completely the wrong way. It should be that, surely. It should be that now, surely. Okay, let's have a look and see what is this. So if we did, let's just do n is equal to u, and then do, and then var dump n, and see what that gives us. An empty array, right? So that was, I'm sure I saw that was SRC. Oh, right. It's in. It's the next one up. Got it. It's that. There we go. See. So we got CSS. These two files. Now this poses a bit of a quandary because we're looking for that, and we're actually getting the full path. Full path down. I'm wondering if that's okay, and I need to think about how to actually... I'm thinking that that might be okay. I think. I'm thinking that what we need to do is actually return this and then this. So let's tackle this from the test's perspective. So this needs to be, so expected should now be, I'm going to have to run that again, so I should be able to go up and see what it is. Yes, Here we go. So that's what I want. That's the expected. That's what I want. Oh, right. Yes, because obviously I need to pull out the pull that out. So sorry, not that one. In fetch routine. So we have our file path is equal to this. Like that. And what we want to do is now directories is equal to the reason why I want to cut this off at the file at this level is because I will be using the base path and the dr name to work because I'll be in different files, different locations, but this will always be the same, but this will be slightly different. You see. So directories is now this. And then we want to filter this out. So we want to return an array that doesn't contain the start of it. Now I suppose what we could do is do like a search and replace. Let me just grab some tea. Yeah, I suppose what we could do. Hey Dota, yeah, good, thank you. I'm all good. How are you? I'm currently working on a way that we can use Markdown to generate files and data in the database for our code quiz, rather than having to hard code everything in PHP and then JavaScript for the API client. We can use Markdown files as a single source of truth. But it's just it's obviously just a laborious task that I'm working through. So we've got two routines. We've got the generator here, and we've got the fetcher. The fetcher fetches the data, and the generator will update the will generate the necessary array structure for the quizzes. So right. I think what I'm going to do is split this out into another function and test that. So I think what we need to do is public function. Well, let's do this from a test's perspective. That's fetch. No, we'll leave it because it's only this routine that's going to use it. Okay, so what do I do here? We could have data is equal to an array, and we could loop over the data. So we could do for each directories. Oops, sorry. For each directories as directory, and we could say that we can do a str replace, where we pass in the start of whatever it is into directory, and then we can build that up as our data set. So data is equal to u, and then we return data back. Whoops. So we could do it like that, I guess. It's probably not the best way of doing it, but so there we go. Sorry. So this pattern would be here. That's what we would search. And we would replace it with nothing. So then that would return our data set. So let's run that test again. Let's get rid of the V. No, we've still got some errors here. We're still on the fetch routine. So return value must be a type of an array, but a string is given. Oh, hang on. Where are we? There's two errors. Two errors. Fetch quizzes and fetch quizzes again. It's saying that this is not valid, I don't think. Markdown Generator test, which is... oh, that's a generator. Oh, right. So that's the generator. This is, sorry, it's this one I need to deal with. Quiz fetcher fetch. Return value must be type of an array, but a string is given. Okay, that's weird. Why would that be? Oh, of course. Yes, of course, of course. It is a string. It's not anymore. Right, so now we've got one error. That's great. So that would have passed, because now we're on generator errors. Good. So the generator is this one, and it's saying that argument 2 haystack must be initerable, but a string is given on line 43, which is here. So this is apparently a string. I'm going to just dump this out and see what it is. Data sets, and we're going to kill the script, and we're going to run this with, yeah, like that. There we go. So we got two arrays. So this is good. This is what we need. So that is, so the fetch now needs to change, because we're actually returning this. Got it. Yeah, okay. So that needs to be you and you. Fine. Okay. Make sure that they're correct. They are correct. All right. So now we need to do a, so that's an array. That's good. Aha. This is the problem. So we need to now build out our get data routine here. And in fact, what we should do, what we should do now is start creating our test stuff to actually pull out the ID and the title. So yeah, once this test passes, it's all good. But to get to that point, there's a lot of stuff we need to do. So first of all, we'll do public function test. What are we going to test? We're going to test test get ID, and then test. We'll do generate ID. Generate ID. We'll also have a test as well for testing generate name, which is what the generator will do. So this test here, which is going to be, we're going to change this now to be called test generator. Generator. Cool. Right. And what I'll do is I'll say self mark test as skipped for now. So we'll focus on this one. So this is going to call this and pull out one from there, right? So we need to set this up as our before bit. So let's do that. Let's grab that, and then we'll do public function, and we'll have is it setup? Yeah, setup. Cool. So we'll have we'll paste that there, and we'll do private. We'll do fetch a mock, which is going to be quiz fetcher. Oops, sorry, quiz fetcher. So that one there. And this is going to be this fetcher mock. And this fetcher mock. Cool. Good. And then, so I'll change all that when I get to it. So this is now going to be this fetcher mock, and then we're gonna run fetch on that. That's fine, but we need to have our quiz generator and inject that in. In fact, we can probably put that as a class too. To be honest, quiz generator. Yeah. So maybe we'll change this to be quiz generator. So that's the generator. And we'll do, so that's now back to what it was. We'll do this generator is equal to new generator, which is our quiz generator. Yep. And we pass in fetcher mock. There we go. There we go. Right. So now I've got that to play with. So if we scroll to the bottom here, we can now do generator. There is going to be a routine called get ID or generate ID. Generate ID. And this is going to, it obviously doesn't work yet, but this will return, so ID, self, assert same, we'll do 1, and this is the ID. Now, this is doing it per quiz. So if we go back to here, it's going to generate 1 from that. But obviously the generator deals with the whole thing, so that's going to be a bit tricky. What we need to do then is supply the file name. So we can do, so we'll call this generate ID from name. So we'll give in a name. So we'll say name is equal to this. So in fact, we don't need to use that mock, to be honest, thinking about it right now. We don't need to do that, do we? Because we're not fetching anything. That's fine. Okay, so right. Yeah, okay. Let me decouple that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. So back again, we'll do quiz fetcher, and we'll just put in fetcher here. Sorry, my brain wasn't working. This should be this fetcher. It's probably best if they're split out anyway. There we go. Right, let's just get rid of that for now. That's fine. Right, sorry. Right, going back down to where we were before. We have this, and so this is now going to be generator is equal to new generator, quiz generator, and we'll do this. We'll just put in the, yeah, sorry, we'll just do that. But what I want is to do generator generate ID. I know I've gone forwards and back, but that's just the way my brain works. Right, from ID, from name, and the name is this here. I'm going to just mock this out to be completely blank. So let's do fetcher is equal to new is equal to this create mock fetcher interface. That's all I'm going to throw it as a fetcher interface class, because it's not going to be used. It just needs to be injected. There we go. Right. Okay. So this is now our ID. Now, obviously, this doesn't work. because we haven't set that up, but that's what we're expecting from from this here. From that we want 1, and also let's set this up as well for the generate name. So this is generate name, test generate name from I'm going to call this title. And actually, I'm going to reword this. So this is, no, we will call this name. So generate name from file path. There we go. That makes more sense. Generate ID from file path, which means that this needs to be called from file path. There we go. Right. So this is generate name from file path. From. And the name of this should be CSS quiz. So that would be name. Let's do that as file path. And let's change that to be file path. And let's also do the same up here. So sorry about jumping forward and back there, but I'm just... There we go. Right, now none of these exist, so these will all fail, but we need to create now some tests, or we need to create the logic to pull that out from this string, and then also pull that out from this string, and then pull that out from this string as well. So let's just run the tests and see where we're at. We've probably broken quite a few things, so or just 2. So call to undefined methods, generate ID from file path. Let's go ahead and fill those things out. Let's just clear a bit of room. So that would be in generator, right? That's the mock, Pete. That's the mock, you idiot. That's the wrong thing. There. Yeah. So public function generate ID from file path, passing in a string which is file path. This is going to return an int, and there we go. There's also going to be another one which is going to be our generate name from file path as well. Again, that's a string, and that's going to return that. So let's do this one. Let's do a return of just a blankness, and then this one, let's do a return of 0, just so we get something failing. Whoops. Sorry. My tea is going cold again. There we go. Right, so we now have, yes, it can be difficult. It is difficult. That's what's going on now. So failed asserting that 0 is identical to 1. That's what we expected. Then the next one is, oh, that's 2. What's the first one? Failed asserting that an array contains that. So that's fetch quizzes. Is that right? This is why is that testing the fetcher? What's going on? Test fetch quizzes. Fetch quizzes. I'm very confused. That I thought was passing. Okay. And then thirdly, we have failed asserting that 2 strings are identical. So that's fine. So I've obviously screwed something up with the first test, which I had thought I had sorted. Failed asserting that an array contains that. Let's see what is out of here then, shall we? What do you have? Oh, okay, right. Yes. So the backslash jobby. Right. Okay. Yeah. So file path is this. We're doing a strip replacement of that. Got it. Yeah. Whoop. 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 Sorry. What's going on? Dear. Don't need that. Bring that over there. Sorry. Yes. So we can get rid of this. Let's go to this one. That should now pass. I'm obviously killing the test, so let's get rid of that. So this should now pass, or at least, you know, I only have 2 errors. Yep, that's fine. Cool. All right. All right. So let's do the ID first. That's probably the best thing to do. So we got the file path. The file path is a big nasty path, right? We want to get the last part of that. We want to get the and I believe we can do something quite clever using the base name, I think. So if we did let's say leaf, right? Leaf is equal to, is it base name of file path? And I should do this in the other one because this is going to return a string. So this here, I'll do it in here. We're going to return leaf a minute just to see, because we'll get that output. I think that's going to return the last part of the file path, which is what we can then use. Yes, yes. See, so it's stripped out the whole thing. So that's a quick and dirty way of getting rid of the excess before the thing. So leaf being the last part of the directory. In fact, I'm going to call that directory leaf, just so when I read it again, I know what that means. Okay, so now, so in fact, we need to do that again up in here. This is proving to be you know, some form of refactoring is needed here. But anyway. So generate from file path. Now we have a example of how I've done this in the original pull request. I'm sure this is what I did a lot early this morning. So this is the proof of concept kind of part 1 that I was trying to do. So that's our directory structure here. That's getting the base name. Get quiz ID from dr name is basically what we're doing here. So let's go and find that. That would still be in here, right? So get quiz ID from, here we go, parts explode. That's getting the ID, right? But what's the next one? This one here. There we go. Let's grab all that. Let's put that in. So what this is doing is it's saying, okay, we're going to get the name, we're going to split the underscores out, and we're going to replace them with nothing. So let's just change that to be directory leaf. And then here we're going to do a left trim, because we've got a space and a 1. I think this is right. And we're gonna, I think this is right, and then we're gonna uppercase it. Let me just see what that returns. I can't wrap my head around that at the minute. Generate name from file path. Right, exception method. Exception failed for method name is fetch when invoked 1 time. Method was expected to be called 1 time, actually called 0 times. What? What have I done? And then that's the thing up there. What? No, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Generate name from file path. Generate name from file path. We have this. We're creating the fetcher interface. We're running quiz fetcher. That's the interface that we've mocked out. And then generate name from file path does this. So we're not even... That's weird. Why are we even doing that? Exception failed for method name fetch. We're not fetching anything. Oh, is it because of our setup routines, do you think? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. Oh, this is going to be painful because this is going to be done on a case-by-case basis then. That's tricky. All right, fine. Let's just I guess we just get rid of it for a sec. Yeah. I've skipped that test that's using it, although generate name from file path exception failed for let's run that again. Is that a problem with my... Yeah, that was a problem with my... Sometimes the file system doesn't get updated as quick enough for these commands to run. So yeah, I've just commented that out on the setup routine. This runs obviously before every test, so that's why that was expected. Silly me. And we're skipping this out anyway. I will sort that out in a minute. Anyway, so that has passed, has it? Because this is 0 identical to 1, so that would have passed. Yeah, it would have. I mean, if we were to say that this was, I don't know, demo, for instance, and then ran that, we have, yeah, it is. That is what we've got. That is what we've got. That is what we need. So there we go. That has panned out. Brilliant. Okay, so we've managed to get the title, or yeah, the name from there. Great. Let's now get this one. So generate ID from file path. So if we go over to go back over to here. So we've got this one. We get the directory leaf like we've done here, but we want to get the this bit, so it's just that. It's just that. So we have directory leaf, which is there, and we want to return the first part of that. So let's just run this again. That should be 1. There we go. That's passed. Boom. Because if we were to change this to be 2, right, we would have a problem because that's saying we've got 1. So that's come off of there. Brilliant. So those routines work. That's great. I'm happy with that. So now we can start populating all of this stuff. And this is where the mock thing go. I'm going to just get rid of this because I think I was just getting a little bit ahead of myself with the other testing routines. I don't need it. So all that forward and back that I did earlier didn't mean a thing. So let's now unskip this. This is going to obviously fail. Let's run this, see where we're at. Boom. So we've got contains argument 2 haystack must be a type iterable string is given on line 46. So this is where we're mocking this out to say that this is what is returned from the fetch routine. And when we do generate and we call get data, we are trying to return back an array that we obviously need to configure. So this needs to be, I don't like the way it's called get data. I'm thinking maybe it needs to be done in here, but whatever. So anyway, let's just tidy this up. So we've got an array of these file paths. So what we need to do is we have to do data sets is equal to an array. Whoops. And we do a for each of, I think what we should do is have this as original data set. No, actually, no. File paths. Let's call it what it is. File paths. Let's call it what it is. That is going to return, that will generate file paths. This file paths is this fetcher fetch. Get data could actually be called, yeah, whatever. We'll refactor that in a minute. So data sets is now this file paths as file path, right? We have our data sets. So we have data sets. We've got this is actually going to be now an array of arrays. So we have our ID, and we can now do, lo and behold, we can do this generate ID from file path, and we can also do name is equal to this generate name from file path. Brilliant. Great stuff. So is there anything else I need? Let's, oh yeah, I need to pass the file name. But is there anything else I need? Let's have a look in here. ID, oh, path. Yes, of course. So that would be, and I'm going to call it file path. I'm not going to call it path. So this would be this. Oh, actually, it would just be file path. There we go. So we now return that. So this now gets returned as data sets. Get data sets is what we're going to call it. I think. Maybe, I don't know. Right, let's run the tests. So, get data. What's going on here? Maybe I need to run it again. Sometimes it doesn't like it. There we go. Failed asserting that array contains an ID. So we do have an ID. We do have an array, but it's not what we're after. The annoying thing with this is that I have to keep dumping out what we actually have. What is it? Great. And of course something's wrong with the, there we go. So we have ID. We do have ID. That's strange. We do have ID. What? We do have ID. Failed contains ID. Array contains. Oh, wait. It's not contains, you fool. It is key. Assert key. Array has key. There we go. Contains would be checking the value. We just want to make sure that we have the keys. So we don't have title, but we do have name. And we don't have path, but we do have file path. Boom. Cool. I'm going to take a slurp of tea. Yeah, yeah. We haven't even touched the database yet. We are literally just going over the files that I put into config, fixtures, and quizzes. So these are the files. And what I'm doing is I'm just pulling out the directories at the minute. The next stage is to pull out the actual files and then parse the files and then generate the portions of the file. So this would be the question portion. So we would have to parse the file. That is the question. So all the way down to here. This is the possible answers, and then this would be the answer itself. So that's a better example. So that's the question. This is the possible answers, and then this is the answer itself. So you would have, so that would then go off to the database, just like that. So the API, when people use the API, wouldn't even know that the data is coming from Markdown. Yeah. I just think that this having Markdown is probably going to be easier for us to then update to keep this updated. And having it like this means that we can have multiple quizzes, and if we keep the convention that we have ID 1 and then the title or the name, and then within here we'd have the various Markdown files with the ID of the quiz and then the ID of the question. So 1 1 1 2 1 3 and then 2 1. And then this means that this is a unique code essentially for the question, and then we would have that in the database. So when we run our Symfony console command, which I did think we would get to today, but we've taken so long doing the testing, but whatever, it's fine. I don't mind how long this takes. As you can probably tell, I'm very slow at my code. When I'm writing code, I'm very slow. So yeah, this would be a unique ID for each of the questions. It won't be the ID in the database. It'll just be another unique ID. So it'll just be a field called, code maybe, that is unique. And then, yeah, when we run the Symfony console command that does the generator, which gets all the things, it will look for that and go, okay, do we have that code in the questions table? And if we do, we'll update it. And if we don't, we'll insert it. That means that we can now have these individual questions associated to the quizzes in a kind of a simplified sort of convention. That let's say someone, let's say for instance, down the road, I go, actually, I want to add another question to the CSS quiz, but we've got many quizzes already, like loads. So the IDs, if you think of it as the primary keys of the database, the IDs would already be beyond the ID or the code that we're at. Therefore, we need to have another unique identifier that is specific to not only the question, but also the quiz. So the second number here has no relevance to the primary key. It is just relevant to the question, so the order of the question that it's in. And then the first one is the ID of the quiz that it's associated to. You don't know how long that's taken me to work that out in my brain. I had this weird thing this morning. It's funny actually, because last night, I went out to see some friends and having a good time, and then I got up and I could tell I had a drink, and then this idea just came to me. So, but I've been trying to think. Forcibly trying to think of this solution over the past few evenings, and I just couldn't. I sat down with a pen and paper and I was just like, how do I do this? How do I ensure that there is a unique identifier that we can put on, which is also performant? Because what I was thinking was, okay, why don't we create some front matter up in here, right? So why don't we do like this, where we've got, say, quiz ID is, in this case it would be 1, and then question ID. Why don't we do that, right? Would be 1, would be 2, or whatever. But I thought, well, in order for this to work, we would have to parse these files to find out this information. And that's going to be slow as hell, because you would have to go through every single one. Plus, we wouldn't have the identifiers here, which won't be so human. You would have to go through each file to see if you've got duplicates. Whereas if you change the file name, you know you've got duplicates. Well, it won't let you have the same code at the start. Well, it will, because the name of the title would be different, sure, but it's very obvious. It's more obvious than having to go through each of these things. So yeah, this is why it's gone round and round. Anywho, where are we? We have got to the point where we now have all the tests passing. Hurrah! So at this stage, we now have this kind of format array. So the next part of this would be to actually go through and find the files, and I'm not sure yet whether we need to. I'm not sure. Yeah, see, I'm not sure whether we should. We should write a test at least to check the values, right? So we've got the keys, that's fine, but we should check the values. But I'm not sure whether we should bolt something on here. Like, for example, we would have questions. I don't know whether we should do this. I don't know. Like that, right? I don't know whether that's a good idea. Or whether we just say, well, this is the array for quizzes. We should create a new data set for questions. Because what I'm thinking is that the console command, when it runs, it will loop over the data sets, and it would go, okay, we're going to be working on this one, and then we're going to be working on this one, and then we'll work on the next one, and we'll work on the next one. And I was thinking what we could have is like a progress bar for each one. So it would go, yes, working on that one, yes, working on that one, yes, working on that one. And it would do it individually rather than having a massive data set with every question. Can you imagine if we ever got to the point where we had hundreds of quizzes with thousands of questions, right? It's obviously going to take a long time. So having a massive data set with all the things at once is probably not the best way to go forward. So maybe we should just have this as our questions. And maybe the way we've got this, maybe we should have question fetcher and question generator. That's a good idea, isn't it? And then in our console command, we inject those. That is why subconsciously I created the interface, because I was thinking maybe the fetcher could be used in other places. Yeah, we should do that. That's what we should do. So we got the fetcher interface with fetch. I'm wondering if we need to have a generator interface with generate. Yes. Yes, you could, but the thing with that, though, you could, but I've thought of this. I appreciate what you just said there. You could just verify the file name is in the database. That's very, very true. What happens though when the file name changes? What happens when and this will happen, I have a typo in one of these file names. So I change it. So I change the file name, right? So for instance, let's say, for example, I decide that this needs to be property, like that, and I forget that there should be an S on the end. So this is already saved in the database, right? I then do a refactor rename, and then go S. I then generate all the things again. What's it going to do? Because it's not going to be able to find it's not going to be able to find that file name because that's changed. So it would think it's a new file name. So it would generate a new one, which is why we need something at the start of the file name or somewhere in the file name that is our unique identifier to whatever this is. This means nothing. This title, really, it doesn't really mean anything. In terms of the actual Markdown file, it's not anywhere in here. So I could literally just not have this and just call it 1_1 like that. But I think that it's probably better to have an actual human readable format or something here. Yeah. So this is our check number, I suppose you would call it, or check code. Yeah. So that's why I don't want to go down that road. Right. So we've got our, what was this time? 17:20. 20 past 5. All right. We've still got time. It's all good. Right. So, we should create a test now for well, actually no. Let's just see where we're at with everything, because there's quite a few changes here. Let's draw a line under this and start doing some good old commits. Okay, so what on earth has changed in here? I don't know. Let's do a git diff of you. What have I done? I've removed that. I don't know why. It doesn't do anything, I don't think, but we'll put it back. So let's cue that out. So git checkout of that. Anything else that's slightly odd? I mean, this is these would have changed because of the path name that's been changed. These have been added, I think. Yeah, fixtures, quizzes, as well as, oh my god, there's loads of them. Yeah, they renamed stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to, let's just check. All this is just renamed files and new fixtures. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll say git commit -am. We're on ticket 157. So renaming fixture files. Yep, that's good. And then we've got git status here. And hey, Golden Mew, thank you for following. I appreciate that. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through the comments. Bear with me a minute. So, does the question ID need to be there? Yes. Well, do you mean by the file name? It since you're just putting each file in the database and it's only used for migration, you could just verify the file name is in the database. Did you use a refactoring shortcut? And oh yeah, I did. Yeah, but I know what happened. I purposely did that. What I did is I just renamed this from quizzes to quizzes old, right? So we've got the old test case. So you asked a question about blah 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 blah. What? Can't find the question now. You could just verify the file name is in the database. The thing is, you could, but what happens when you rename the file name? So you rename the file name. The original file name is in the database. Because you've renamed the file name, it's not going to know what the original was, so it's not going to know to update it. So it'll insert the new file, the renamed file, and essentially just duplicate your question. Because you've renamed the file name, it just thinks that it's a new thing. That's why you need to have the code. You asked the question of, do you need to have is it the question? Does the question ID? Yeah. Does the question ID need to be there? Yes, it does, because these two make up the unique identifier. Um, Regardless of what this is, these two make up the unique identifier for that. Now, when I say unique identifier, it's not the primary key of the, so 1 or 3 might not be question 3. It's just, so say for instance we got like many of these, like 10, right? 10 quizzes. So you would have like 10_1, blah, 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 blah. Later down the road, I might want to go, okay, I want to add a third question to our CSS code quiz. So a fourth question, sorry. So we would have 1_4 and then whatever the title would be. That would actually have a completely different primary key to 4 in the database, but it would certainly know that this is unique to this file. So we're using this as our unique identifier when we come to update the question. That's the solution I've come up with. I don't know if it's going to work yet. I don't know. This is a proof of concept. It could be horrible and just not work, and you could be completely right. And if that's the case, that's the case. But I'm trying to think of scenarios where it would slip up, and I think storing the full file name in the database, if we were to update that file name, then we would have problems, because we wouldn't know what the original file name would be to update it. It would just see it as a new file and insert it. The only problem with this is deletions. So I would need to run a routine that would compare the unique IDs to what is in the database. So if we were to remove one of these, for instance, we should deactivate the question, but that's beyond the scope right now. Sorry, I don't know why that's came up. Okay. Oh, you had advertisements. Okay. Yeah, my idea behind the ID comment is the database takes care of generating and managing the IDs. Yes, but it'll only know if the file name is different to the IDs that are in the database, or if the file name is different to the file names that are in the database. It'll just see it as a new file, and I think that is going to risk duplication. And having rows in the database that aren't used. I mean, you could see that you could argue that, well, why don't, in that scenario, you just delete them? But the thing is, going forward, one of the features that I would love to put into play here is to have the ability for people to record their progress, which means that we need to somehow associate a user to the quiz and to the question. So just by deleting things, we're not going to be able to have that link, right? So I'm more pushing towards the updating. And if I was to rename the file name, then they would be associated to old questions that aren't used anymore. Yeah. Right. I don't know what Twitch is playing at. Yeah. This is why I'm pushing on the testing front, because I want to make sure that I'm actually, what I'm saying is that, because this is a proof of concept, this may fall flat on its face. I don't know if this will work. I have no idea. But testing it will kind of prove it as I go. That sucks. That's something that YouTube does far better than Twitch. Yeah. I love with YouTube where you got the library and it'll tell you what you've seen, and it'll, when you go click on it, sometimes when I was watching a conference the other day on YouTube, like a conference that happened a couple of years back, and I was able to pause it. I was able to go downstairs and do whatever and come back to it, and I was on a completely, I shut the app down. But then when I got back to the YouTube, I was able to go back to the library and then pick it up from where it started, from where I left off, which I don't think you can do here in the old Twitch space. Every time you refresh it, it kind of like reloads the thing. Anywho, right. Yes, so we want we want to go down the generator train, right? I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. No. Thank you for following. I'm just going to call you Squaz, I think. Squaz Fnur. I don't know. Thank you for following. Appreciate it. Right. Right. Okay. So we've got we got all of these. Oh yes, this is what. Sorry, this is what I was trying to do. I was sorry. Let me do this. Let me work out what has been modified and what needs to be pushed up. What have we just done? Did I do an AM? I did an AM. Oh man. Shoot. I did. Oh, you donkey. Great. Okay. That's why I wasn't intending on doing that. All right. Fine. We'll just leave it as it's a proof of concept. I'm not overly concerned with commit messages. I will probably squash them when this works. If this works, whenever this happens. Right, let's get to the Markdown stuff then. We got our fetchers for that. We should probably rename this to be quiz fetcher test rather than Markdown fetcher test. Yeah. So we'll do a little bit of refactoring here. So we'll change that to be quiz fetcher test. And we'll also change that to be quiz generator test. Because we would like to have question fetcher test. And I'll do this one first this time rather than do both of them together. Right, so this fetch questions. And if we were to think of how this works, we would have our question fetcher, which is something that obviously doesn't exist yet, and we would run data fetch. Now, what would be returned there? We would return this, right? So if we do refactor rename, it would be this .md. Now, would it actually be that? It might be that instead. No, it's going to be that. It's going to be that. Okay, so that's question fetcher. So we'll change that to be need that. So that's going to question. Hang on a minute. Whoa. Assert contain. Oh, contains. Yes. So that's that's an array of. Data is an array. Sorry, data is an array which will have this. Good. Okay. So let's go and build it then. So we need to have a Markdown file. A thing in here called question fetcher. And that will have, it'll still apply to the interface. Okay. And the file path would be, that would be the data here. Let's think. Config fixtures quizzes. No, that would actually be the, we would need to somehow pass the data of this to the question fetcher, right? So we would need to have, if I was to go back to the generate to here, right? We would need to somehow pass this into our question fetcher, and we would pass that in to our question fetch, right? So in our, so what we could do, what we could do is, I'm just going to grab that for a sec. We're going to go over to here. So we're going to say quiz data is equal to all of that gumph. Right, let's just get rid of that for a minute. Right, so that's the quiz data. It's gonna now the question is, do we inject it there or do we put it in there? We'll probably do that, right? But that's gonna throw up a problem with the interface. So what we could do is we could say, we could have a fetcher routine here that says set quiz data, and then we could do fetch there, but that's pretty ridiculous. Maybe what we need to do is, no, I'm not going to put it in there because it's on per. I am going to put it in fetch. Actually, we only need the path, so it's a string. Yeah. So we could have set quiz file path, which is this. Which I believe is actually that. And then we got, and then we could do fetch, but yeah. Yes, but I don't like that. I think we need to put that into the fetch routine. Like this. But that's going to blow a hole in the quiz fetcher, because the quiz fetcher doesn't have anything to, to put through. So we could put that through. Ooh, yes. Yes, we could do that, because what that's doing then is saying the class doesn't have scope, doesn't have authority, ownership of this path. The calling class does. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. So, yes, I like this. Yeah, so with the fetch routine, no, obviously that doesn't exist. That's why I can't get to it. Sorry, going forwards and backwards. I know, I appreciate that this is getting a bit annoying. What do I need to do? I need to get to the interface. That's what I need to get to here. This we need to have on fetch. We need to have source. So string is source. There we are. That is the source that we're going to be fetching these things from. Brilliant. Now, if I run the tests, it's going to fail quite a bit. Oh, I need to be in the damn container, right? No. Sorry. Can I do a reverse search of bash? Yeah. And then it'll be that one. This is going to fail because I've just updated that interface. So array must be compatible with blah, blah, blah. Needs a string. So we'll go through and fix the quiz fetcher first. So where we have fetch here, we need to pass in this here. So we're going to have a string, called source. This means now, this is so good, because this means that I can move these files around outside of the scope of this class. That's great. So that's going to be source, right? Yeah. So that is then on the test. This is now source. However, I just realized that's the source based on the test. So that path needs to change. Yikes. It might not be as easy as I thought, but let's just see. Right. Failed asserting that array contains yes. Too few arguments to the fetch routine. Oh yes. Then maybe what we should do is do it from okay, yeah, maybe what we should do then is take it from yes. So that's file path, that's dir. This needs to be outside. This needs to be source. Right, sorry. This needs to be source. This needs to be in the fetch routine. This needs to be I'm going to say full source, full path. Yeah, there we go. There we are. There we are. Right, so, okay, let's run this again. This is probably going to fail still. Yep. So, online, quiz fetcher, error class. Oh, yeah, that's the quiz question fetcher. And then here, argument too few arguments to function quiz fetcher fetch. Oh, yeah, that would be up in quiz fetcher test. That would be up here. Would it not be? That's some fetch. Oh, generator test. It would be the mock, right? It would be this fetch. Yeah, will return. So that needs to have is that right? Exactly on quiz generator line 13. Oh, quiz generator, not the right. So I think we need to do with and then let's sort this out. So that's with will return. So that needs to be config or what? Let's just make sure I've got the right path. So it would be that, right? I think. I think that's right. Let's give that a go. Nope, that's still failing. With config quizzes will return that and that. Why is that not right? Too few arguments to function mock quiz fetcher. Mock quiz fetcher is here, right? 0 pass in Markdown quiz generator 13. So we got generator test line 42, which is here. So when we run generate, Oh, got it. I got it. I got it. Right. Yes. So that's the fetch routine from here. Right. Okay. So this generator needs to have scope as to where the source is. Got it. I'm with you now. Right. So string source. I see. So with this, we can then do quiz generator task generate, pass in the source, which is that. Right. So let's do source. Sorry, get there in the end. That's that. That is that. There we go. Boom, boom. Right, here we go. So back in the room. Is that good practice? I don't know. Not sure, because we're giving that the generator. Well, it's saying where to generate it from, so maybe that's okay. I don't know. We'll leave it like that for now. Right. So this question fetcher can't be found. So we'll add that here. Why can't that be found? We have question fetcher. We need to pass in the source again. So string source. Why can't that be found? Is it because of it's not no. Question fetcher. There we are. Right. So let's run the test. That's obviously gonna fail, but that's fine. Called from the find method. Set quiz file path is actually what we've just done. So there we are. That's the source. Brilliant. Right. So now we have failed asserting that array contains that. So what we want to do is on fetch of the quiz fetcher here, we are strip replacing this with so we will need to have the quiz itself. Got it. So we have question CSS1. There's that. So we need to take that off, the leaf off. Yeah, or there might be a better way to do that actually. So we don't need this. That's not right. We don't need this because we're only doing it for the one question. Hang on, wait. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to fetch the question. We're not trying to fetch the file name. We're trying to fetch the question. Yeah. And we've got the file path here. We're trying to fetch the question. So what would that be? Would that be a file? Would that be? We need to return an array, right? But what would that include? I guess it would be an array with the file information. Yeah. So we would have fetch questions. That should be fetch question. Passing in the question. That isn't expected. Let's just think about this for a minute. What would that return? It would return things that are good enough for the generator. So this would return an array that can be used by the question generator. So the data here could be we could now include use parse down to parse the markdown file. So on fetch, we would have to have some routines to actually make sure that this exists. We could have, and then we could use parse down. To load it. Let's have a look at the example that I have in here, where we have the directories. We loop over the DRI, so that's using Finder in base directories of depth 1. So we still need to do that. So that's looping through the directories. So sorry, that's is it? No, we won't need to do that. No, we won't. We could just do finder files in that file. We would loop over this. Hang on, wait. No, that's not right, is it? No, because we've already got the file. There we go. So we've already got the file. We don't need to loop over or anything. We've already got the file. No, we don't. We don't. Oh, God, Jesus. Where's the pen and paper? We've got the quiz. We have the quiz. We don't have the. We don't have. So if we go back to our test for the generator, we have this. We need to get an array. Here we go. We need to get an array of file names that are existing in here. That's what we need to do. Let's do that. Get there in the end. Right. So in our question fetcher, this needs to let's just type this out. Right. Let's just type this out. And I'll actually do this as a comment here. Actually, this is where it should go. So this is going to fetch all the questions from a given quiz directory. Fetch all question file names from within a given quiz directory. There we go. So you have your, and I'm going to call that source. There we go. Right. So this is the source that we have. And what we need to do now is use that Symfony Finder stuff. So do we have that installed, or do I have to do anything? So we've got Finder is equal to new Finder, Symfony Finder. There we go. So new Finder, and then we've got Finder files in. And that would be source, so we don't need any of this ridiculousness. Because the source would be... no, the source would be that. So we would need that, sorry. So that would be, source would be there. That would be there. Let's get rid of this, I think. Is that right? That's what we're trying to find. That's what the... Yeah, that's fine. So that would be in base in file path in folder path. There we go. Cool. It's not very testable because we're instantiating that in here, but whatever. Then we would do. I'm gonna have to refer back to my notes. We would then do, I think we could probably get away with saying files is equal to this, and then we could do for each, although we could probably just return that maybe. I don't know. What does this do? Returns a Finder instance. Result directories, directory not found, array merge, directories of this directories. how do I get this directories? It's private. Do I then just say that this is an iterable? Question fetch a test. Fetch. Do I then say that that is get iterator? There we go. So files. Let's just see what that returns for a minute. Let's just this, I need to sort this out because obviously I'm going to need to mock this somehow, but we'll do something with it. But let's just see how what that returns. Let's go to question fetch test, and let's just do a var dump of what we've got, and just kill the script at that point. Right. Fetch return value must be type array, but path iterator returned. Okay, fine. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So we would probably need to do a loop through that, I think. I'll just have a look at what's on the docs for Symfony Finder. I just need to refresh my memory. Symfony Finder. Can't spell it. Symfony Finder. Finder as absolute file and get real. Okay, so get file, get so I would have to loop through this in DRR has results. In search for files inside there. In as file, do something with the files, get the directories, look for direct. No, oh no, follow links. Nope. Ignore stuff. Same as above. Right, multiple file names can be excluded by chaining or passing an array. Right, so that's okay. So we're going to need that actually. So we got files in that folder. Can we chain that as well to say not name, because we want to exclude index.md as well. And then we do for each files as file. And then, so we've got file here. We should have get base name, get contents, get file info, get file name. That's probably wise. Get file name. I mean, at this point, I could do all sorts of stuff. Get file name, but let's just get that for now. So let's do file names. Excuse me, file names is equal to an array. Let's put that into here. Now, obviously, there's no tests here, so let's just see how this fares. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought we would have. So they're the file names. Good. Right, now, how on earth do we test that? We've got in our question tester here, we've got we're passing in the source, and we are expecting that so let's just create expected is equal to u, right? So let's just comment that out. This will pass, but I'm wondering if there's a better way of doing the whole fetch routine thing. I suppose there isn't. I mean, unless I was to inject that in, maybe, into the question fetcher. I don't really want this test to hit the database, really. Sorry, to hit the files. But it is. I'm just thinking in terms of like speed and stuff in the future. We'll leave it, I think, because that's a problem for another day. I was going to say for a rainy day. It's raining right now, but we'll leave that. But ideally, what you would do is inject the finder into here, and then you would mock the finder out, and you would mock the return of that. Ideally, but let's not go down that rabbit hole yet. Okay. So the fact that that test is passing, that's all good. I mean, it's testing that the actual file is in existence. So we now have a generator to deal with. So the question generator would be kind of similar to this. However, what we would do is we would be generating something. I tell you what, let's just copy that. I'll just do question generator here. Let's just change that to be question generator. So we will end up doing these things, but let's just I just want to play around with this. So this would return data sets, return an array of file name details. So you would have code. Code would be, say, 1_1. You would have title, which would be padding properties. See what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to, and let's just put lowercase. That shouldn't be title case. And then the path would be would be this. I don't even know if we need it, to be honest. We probably don't. I mean, I'm only using that for a reference, so maybe we won't need that. But we would certainly need to. We could break that up, right? So we could have quiz_id would be 1. So we would know straight away that would associate to that ID. And then eventually, like, we would have contents. Now that would be our HTML, which would be whatever is in our Markdown file. And we would probably need to call it contents raw. Which would be our let's just do a p tag. Raw HTML. Okay. Yeah, and if we were to copy that with this one, that would now be 1, 2. That would be style override. And that quiz ID would still be 1, and that would be raw HTML for question 2. Raw HTML for question 1. For file details. Return an array of file details. Of file data. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so we've got, so if I let's just think about this. So we've got, I'm going to stand up because my back is starting to get painful. Right. So the idea here is that we've got question fetcher and question generator. We've got quiz fetcher and quiz generator. So let's just do a quick recap. So we'll start we'll start with the quiz first. So we have these quizzes here. So quiz 1 and quiz 2. They obviously have their own titles, and they'll have their IDs that are going to be unique to the quiz. In the database, yes, so that 1 will always be there, 2 will always be there. So that will coincide with 1, the primary key 1 of quiz, the primary key 2 of HTML quiz. And that's what the fetcher does. The fetcher will loop through the directories within the source being config fixtures quizzes, or whatever I change it to. It's going to pull these down. It's going to return that. Fine. And then the generator will, when we call generate, will fetch those, and then when we run what do we run? Yeah, get data sets. Sorry, when we do get data sets, we're going to loop over the file paths. In fact, I probably need to hook that in actually. So generate should actually call that rather than the outside class. Yeah, rather than the calling code shouldn't call that. It should be generate. Should do that. But anyway, that's a design issue that I will need to address at some point. But eventually, what will happen is generate will call the fetcher to do the fetch routine. This will let's just do it. I'm going to change that to be yeah, this is going to break the test, but bear with me a minute. So instead of get data sets, we'll do we'll do there is an argument to say put that code in there, but let's do run or process even. That's better. And then so this we do this process, and then we have, so we fetch this the file paths. In fact, we can do this, can't we? File paths, and then we can process the file paths, and then we can then do this, whatever we've called it. What have we called it? No, we haven't called anything. It's the, sorry, beg your pardon. We then return. There we go. Whatever is in process. So process, it needs to be down in here. Come on, process is that. We pass in the file paths, which is a string. There's that. And then it does file for each file path. We then process the files. There we go. That's even better. That's even better. So the generate routine here will return an array now of the generated stuff. There we go. That's much better. We probably need to have an interface on here to have generate as well. So I should do that. Let's just make sure the tests do something. Okay, so we got a failure here. 2. So quiz generator process argument 1 must be type of string and array is given. So on process argument 1 file paths, that's what we're fetching here from the source. File paths. Oh, of course, yes. Sorry. File paths is an array because we're looping through the. Sorry. File paths. There we go. So. File paths as file path. There we go. Right. So error call to undefined method quiz get datasets. Yes. So now in our test, in our generator test, we are no longer calling we are doing this here. So datasets is equal to generate. There we are. Right, I think we've got another failure that we need to cope with. Yep, so call to undefine get datasets on line 46. Oh, hang on. No, it is question generator. But hang on, let me think. So we've got the generating routines done. That's fine. Yeah. No, that's good. So now we've got the question generator, which is this one here, which, oh yes, it's the copy. Yeah. Yeah. So that would then be datasets. Whoops, would equal to you, and then we would get rid of that. So there we go. Right, but obviously this doesn't exist yet. Is that right? No, it does exist. Quiz generator. It does exist. Yes, it does exist. Sorry, question. Does it? Hang on a minute. What am I doing? That's not right. I'm using the wrong class. Where are we? Quiz generator. This is quest. No, that is right. It's this. Here we go. Yes, that should be question generator. Something I haven't even created yet. Question generator. Generator. Right. And we'll change the namespace as well. So that is Markdown. So when it comes into effect, that'll load. Right. Okay. So, all right. Let's take a step back from this. What's going on? So we've got fetchers and generators. The generator has access to the fetch routine. Sorry, I've just spat all over my screen. The generator has access to the fetchers through dependency injection. So where we have our where we're doing our generate, we are supplying a mocked fetch in this case. That's going to return a list of directories that correspond to the quizzes. We're then going to generate those things, and we're going to pull out the ID, the name, and the file path of them. I need to test the values, but that's the keys. We have the ability to test the individual ways in which these are generated, right, which is great. And now with our question generator, what we're doing is or question fetcher at least, we are fetching all of the questions within the quiz directory. So now we need to have a question generator that generates this from each of these. That's where I'm going to leave it because it's 18:13 and I've been going for some time, 3 hours and 4 minutes. Yes, but I think this is going well. I think that I'm being very slow and methodical, and I'm refactoring as I'm going, which is great. I'm always conscious of making sure that I try and do that as much as I can. It's probably very slow to watch, and I appreciate that. But this is a complete proof of concept, so I don't know if this is actually going to be the thing that works. But we'll see. I know I haven't done a lot today. I've literally just created, 4 classes and an interface. But I guess before I go, what I could do is I could set myself up. So I could at least do a generator interface, right? Generator interface. Which will have the generate routine. So generate, which will take an array of file paths. There should also be a process. Is that right? There should also be a process routine. Let's just check on the generator. So we have our generator. Sorry, no, it's a string. Of course it is. It's a string. Yes, because we've already got, yeah, because we're looping through, and yeah, because we're now, because we're doing the fetch. Ah, dear. So the generator calls the fetch. Yes. Sorry. So this needs to be the string. Get it straight in my head. So that's the source. Is that right? Is that right? Quiz generator. Yes. So let's implement. So we don't need that anymore. That goes. So implements the generator interface. Great. We also have a process routine that needs to be in our needs to be in our interface. Which is an array of file paths. So when I come to build the question generator, I need to have these two in here. The generator is going to take the source, which will actually be just the here, because I'll be doing it one at a time. So sorry, no. It will be taking up to here. So the source will be the quiz itself to here. And that's going to return an array of these that I'm going to supply to the process routine. The process routine, the process routine is then going to go and loop over sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Yes, the process routine is then going to loop over those file paths and remove or take out in of the file names the code, the title, the quiz ID. It's then going to use Markdown to get the HTML from these, and then it's going to return an array of all of this data for this particular quiz. So when I come to writing this as a Symfony console command, what I intend on doing is running the quiz generator. The quiz generator is then going to generate a big array of all the quizzes. So so it's going to return this, a big array of all the quizzes. Once we've got that, and it'll have a progress bar to say, that's all done. And then after that, it's going to be super quick because all it's going to do is just, deal with the file names. After that, it's then going to do a process bar for each of the individual quizzes. So we'll have, so I'll loop over the data sets, and I will run it through the question generator. The question generator is then going to pick out the path. It's then going to deal with the file names. It's then going to use Markdown to get the raw contents, and then it's going to return a big data set of all of this stuff. And then once that's done, for each question, for each quiz, once that's done for each quiz, that's why I've split these into two separate arrays. So we'll go this one, then we'll go, say, this one. Once that's done, we'll then go this one, and then we'll go the corresponding questions for this. But once the quiz, once all that's done, and I've managed to get the raw contents, we can then start putting them into the database. And there are some clever ways that I was playing with the other evening, which is this, where we can actually go through and here pull out the contents. We can then use Markdown to parse it and then we can crawl the parsed contents, and then we can pull out down in here, we can pull out various things. So for instance, we have the ability to find where the possible answers are as the node contents. We can check for the local name of details to say that that is now a possible answer. We can then return the C14N of the particular node from the DOM document, and then we can basically build up an array of this stuff. So here we've got parts, we've got question, we've got possible answers, and we've got answer. So if we go back to the actual file that we're dealing with, so this will be like here, for instance, or any of these. Let's go with that one. So this will, let's just break this down. This will say, okay, this is the question all the way to here. That will be the question part. This will find the H2 and find the possible answers. And then it'll go, that's a UL, and then this is an LI, that's an LI, that's an LI. So that's the possible answers for that particular question. And then it'll look for, if I go back to this view, it'll look for details. I could do it by ID if I wanted to, I guess. And that would find the actual answer. So yeah, our console command will basically run that for each one of the commands. I know that's not an actual real question, but I was just playing around. This is a real question. So, you know, in CSS, which rule overrides a previous style? That would be the question. This would then be the possible answers. This would then be the actual answer. So when we come to our quiz, we're literally just creating the, sorry, down here. We're literally creating the ID, the title, the slug I'm going to get rid of, because that doesn't do anything. And then we've got a collection of questions. So a question would have things like the quiz itself, obviously, content. It would then have a collection of answers, right? So for each one of those LIs, we would then create an answer. So we would have our ID of the answer, we would have our content, we would have whether it's correct or not. So that we'd have to check that against the what's in the details HTML. I'm going to get rid of display order, don't worry about that. But we also do need to have on the question, we do need to have a code, because that will correspond to the first two digits here, and that will be unique. So that's where my head is. But I'm gonna shoot off, and I actually work far quicker when I don't do anything streaming. When I'm sat down and I'm just doing this, because obviously I don't have to talk about it as I do it. Right, thank you ever so much for watching. It's been 3 hours and 14 minutes. I do appreciate it. I'm gonna put this on YouTube. I think this one, so it'll be on the How to Code Well archive channel. Probably later on tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know how quick Twitch does the exporting. But thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers, take care, bye-bye. Got there in the end. Cheers, bye.